Hey everybody, my first graders. I miss you guys so much and I hope that things are going good with you and your family. And I just wanted to hop on here and say hi, and I'm going to read you a book, okay? Before I read a book, in your packet that you should have picked up on Monday from the school, if you haven't done that yet, they are in the tub on the front porch with your week 3 packets. And if you haven't turned in your week 1 and week 2 yet, if you'll just leave them in the box so that I can grab those and take a look at your work. I know that you guys are working hard, and I really just can't wait to see you guys again at school, hopefully very soon. But until then, I'm gonna record a few videos for you guys so that I can keep in touch. And also, parents, I would like to do a Zoom meeting with our class on Wednesday. So be looking for an email from me, and we'll try to set that up so we can all see each other and say hey and catch up and see if anybody has any questions, okay? Before I read a book, I wanted to show you this sheet. It's in your packet this week. It's Elements of a Story. And my kiddos in my class, these are all things that we've talked about this year in first grade, are different elements of a story. The plot, which is what happens in the story. Of course, the characters, the setting, problem, and a solution. We've talked about all the elements of good story. Remember when we talked about the puzzle pieces and how when you put them all together, that makes a great story, okay? Right here in the middle is where you would put the title and the author of the book, okay? So I want you to fill out one of these this week with the story that I'm about to read you, okay? And this is called Hedgie's Surprise, and it's by Jan Brett, okay? And the reason why I wanted to send you a video is so you could go back and listen to it a couple of times if you needed to help with your Elements of a Story worksheet, okay? So we're gonna read this book, and I don't know if you remember, but back before Christmas, we read a bunch of Jan Brett stories. They were all winter Christmas stories that she had written. And we noticed some similarities and some differences in those books. We also made some connections. So when you're reading at home by yourself or with mom and dad or with anybody in your family, I want you to remember those things that we've talked about: making connections, making text-to-self connections, making text-to-text connections, or making text-to-world connections, okay? And also remembering these elements of a story, okay? So next week when I get your packets, or whenever I get this week 3 packet, I want to make sure everybody has one of these based on Hedgie's Surprise, okay? So I'm going to read it to you. Once there was a speckled hen who laid an egg every day, only to have it taken by a little tomtin every morning. It all started because the tomtin got tired of porridge for breakfast. I want you to think about, what is porridge? Do you eat something that's similar to porridge? Each morning the rooster crowed as the sun came up, and Henny knew the tomtin was on his way. So did the little hedgehog who lived nearby. The tomtin always called out to her, "Henny, have you got a little yummy for my hungry, hungry tummy?" Here's the picture. The tomtin climbed into the hen house, took Henny's warm, smooth egg, and ran off to cook it in his little kettle. Sprinkle it with salt and gobble it down. Then he fell fast asleep in the hayloft until evening. So now we know what the tomtin is, right? That little guy. Henny didn't like the tomtin taking her eggs, But she put up with it until one morning when she saw Goosey sail forth, smiling and bowing, with a stream of piping goslings following her. I do love how Jan Brett uses lots of animals in her stories. "Oh my," Henny clucked. "Where did all those little ones come from?" "My eggs are hatching," crooned Goosey. "Here comes the last one now." From that moment on, Henny wanted a brood of peeping chicks of her own. But how could she stop the Tomten from taking her eggs? So there's the goose and her goslings. Poor Henny. She wants some little chicks of her own, but that Tomten just keeps stealing them. Phone keeps falling. The next morning, when the Tomten poked his head in, Henny tried. She clucked loudly and pecked. She flew at him, but nothing stopped that hungry Tomten from taking her egg again. No eggs, no chicks, no peeping babies. Henny wailed so loudly that she woke up the little hedgehog, her tears pouring down on top of him. "Puffa, stick, Hedgie went as he crawled out to talk to her. "Poor Henny, I've been watching the Tomten take your eggs. I'll help you trick him into stopping." There's Hedgie. The next morning, when the rooster crowed, there was the Tomten. "Henny, have you got a little yummy for my nearly empty tummy?" Henny and Hedgie were ready. The Tomten reached for an egg and pulled out an acorn. Said the Tomten. "What's this?" And off he went to try it. The acorn was tasty, but it didn't fill him up, and he awoke in the middle of the afternoon, grumpy. I bet some of us can make a text-to-self connection about being grumpy if we haven't eaten enough, right? The next time the Tomten arrived looking for an egg, he found a bright red strawberry. It looked bigger than the acorn, so he ran off to cook it. The strawberry was jammy and sweet, but it only filled up the Tomten a little more than the acorn had, and he woke up early. So they're tricking him, aren't they? The sun had just come up when the Tomten was at the hen house again, his stomach roaring with hunger. Pushing Henny aside, he grabbed for an egg, only to find a delicious-smelling mushroom. He raced off to cook it, and as scrumptious as it was, he woke up with his little tummy growling for more. "Cock-a-doodle!" The Tomten rushed in even before the rooster finished crowing. "Henny, have you got something for my hollow tummy?" This time he found a smooth, round potato, even bigger than an egg. He cooked it quickly and swallowed it down and went back to his hayloft. He woke up at sunset only half full. The Tomten had had enough. "Henny," he shouted, "tomorrow I want an egg for breakfast." Whoops. Phone was falling. "Henny," he shouted, "tomorrow I want an egg for breakfast and nothing else. If I don't find one, I'll eat you up instead." Henny was scared. The Tomten had been tricked by an acorn, a strawberry, a mushroom, and a potato. How could they fool him again? "Don't worry, Henny," Hedgie told her. "Now it is time for my surprise," and he whispered in her ear. All night Henny waited on her nest and Hedgie on his. As soon as it began to get light, Hedgie gently covered his nest with straw and got ready for the surprise. Now I'm going to wait just a couple seconds, and I want you to think about, make a prediction about what you think they've done now to try to trick the Tomten. Make a prediction. Tell somebody, or just think about it in your head. What's a prediction? What do you think is going to happen next? Henny and Hedgie could hear that Tomten's stomach rumbling like thunder a mile away. He burst into the hen house, pushed Henny aside, and grabbed. Ow! He howled. Ow! Ow! Puffa, puffa, stick, stick. He had clutched Hedgie, all closed up in a tight round ball of needle-sharp prickles. So, see Hedgie? Because hedgehogs, they get into these little balls here. And so Hedgie got in his little ball, and that's how they tricked the Tomten this time. And that was quite a surprise, wasn't it? Henny and Hedgie listened as the Tomten ran home, yowling. Thank you, Hedgie, Henny said, looking at her dear friend. I'm sure that Tomten won't be back here again for breakfast. But what I can't figure out is, where have you hidden my eggs? Just then, Henny heard a little peep. And I'm going to be able to make a connection on this one. I wonder if you guys will too, if your parents have showed you any videos from our school lately. Just then, Henny heard a little peep, then another, coming from Hedgie's nest. She looked over and saw the straw begin to move. 5 baby chicks peeked out of their shells and fluffed up their down. As Henny settled down with her babies nestled around her, the Tomten's mother was in the hayloft making breakfast for her hungry Tomten. See the baby chicks? Some of us that were at school 2 Mondays ago got to actually see one of the eggs in Miss Essen's room hatch. And if your parents have seen the videos on Facebook of our chicks at school, ask them to show you. They are so cute. Hedgie, 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 you are full of surprises, Henny cried, as she led her baby chicks out into the sunshine. But the little Tomten didn't hear a word. He was sound asleep, his tummy full of tasty porridge. So his mom fixed him breakfast, and he didn't have to steal Henny's eggs. So now Henny had her own little set of chicks, didn't she? Okay? All right, so that is Hedgie's Surprise by Jan Brett. And don't forget, I want you to fill out this Elements of a Story to go with this book. Okay, guys? I hope you're all doing well. I miss you, and I hope to see you soon.